beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. So I will not be live for very long today because I need to get to work and I'm starting a little bit late, but it is what it is. Though, I really wanted to at least talk about this just for a little bit. What I find so fascinating about this situation is that instead of just trying to bend the truth or bend reality, the Trump administration is literally just trying to make up numbers. Like, they are incredibly inconsistent with whatever narrative that they're trying to put out there. And it's just, when you look at it as a non-biased critical thinker, you're looking at this and you're just like, yeah. And so I think America, a lot of people are looking at it like that, and all across the world, people are looking at it like that. So we're going to be breaking all of this down here. Please make sure to send some likes. I will not be live for very long today, probably just about 15 to 20 minutes, but I still wanted to break all of this down here. So yesterday, I did a really long live stream specifically talking about gerrymandering. And I hope that you all found that really illuminating and helpful. Good morning. Why does this look so faded? It's not faded. On the, what is it, in real life? Why is it faded on the screen? Anyway, but I hope you all were able to catch that. Yes, it was a longer live stream yesterday talking about gerrymandering, but I think it was really, really important that we did that as a breakdown. Plus, my car was being worked on, so I wasn't able to go anywhere. So I used that as an opportunity to do that exercise. Thank you all for sending likes. Thank you all for being here. So today we're going to talk about Donald Trump literally just grabbing power. And this is the kind of stuff that authoritarian dictators do. And, you know, it's really, really unsettling, to say the least. Because if you were to put this situation, put the shoe on the other foot, if this was Biden that had done the same thing, I would not be okay with it. But yet, what it shows is that the far right is a cult and they don't have any principles whatsoever. But what's so interesting about this is back on May 7th, Donald Trump was saying that crime is down, it's down 25% in DC. And now he's basically saying that he is justifying, I guess, taking over the DC Police Department to tackle crime. They can't even get their stories straight. They are very inconsistent. So let's break everything down, what we know, what was said in the past, and I'm also going to get to people's reactions. All right? So what do we know? Trump announces he's deploying the National Guard to DC in a major power grab. So breaking this down here. President Donald Trump announced on Monday that he'll deploy the National Guard to Washington as part of his promised federal takeover to bring down the crime rate. Trump announced during a press briefing he was putting DC police under federal control. I'm announcing, I need my hands, hold on. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, from bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor. This is Liberation Day in DC, and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back, baby. Taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as president, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rules Act. So Donald Trump is basically saying that he is taking over Washington, D.C. police, okay? And he has said that much. That's what we know, all right? Now, continuing on here, of course, he says, the numbers of car thefts have doubled over the past 5 years. The number of carjackings have more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate than ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it goes back 25 years. It could be worse. Now, he is basically saying that crime is up. Crime is up. Crime is up. Crime is up. That's when we need to do something. Okay. Well, what's really interesting is, what do the numbers for the DC police, what are they saying? So these are the numbers that DC's own police is putting out. And you can see here, this is the official website where you can see mpdc.dc.gov. You can see this is their police department. These are their own statistics talking about crime in their jurisdiction. Okay? Now, when we're looking at this, it's important to note the statistics below reflect the data entered into the MPD's records management system as of 12 a.m. on the date above. Well, as of August 11th, I believe that is today. Or was that yesterday? I'd have to double check. But let's look at some of these statistics here. This is tracking from 2024 to 2025. You can see that there is a decrease of 12% from 2024 to 2025 data. You can also see sex abuse sharply decreasing, assault with dangerous weapons decreasing, robbery decreasing. Okay, interesting. So you can also see stats for 2025. That's the second column here. You can see that it's going down from, again, you can see 2025, 2024. You can see that it's gone down by 20% for burglary. Motor vehicle theft, there's not really been much of a change. That's been statistically significant. I guess there was only 5 more. And so theft from auto, you can see that it's down a little bit. Arson, there's I guess it's up 33% in that category. But as you can see in general, when they're measuring a lot of different of these statistics, it's going down. So you can look at it in this way as well. Now, what's really, really interesting here is, of course, Donald Trump doesn't believe in the numbers. This is what is dangerous. Donald Trump, he doesn't like liberal numbers. He thinks that the numbers that reflect data, science, statistics, and reality are liberal numbers. Liberal numbers. And my barista put it so well this morning when I got my coffee. My barista basically was saying, yeah, it's almost as if, the statistics or data is like, oh, it's liberal data. The data of reality, the existence, objective reality is a liberal ploy, is a liberal construct to these MAGA people. So they have to rail against it because they legitimately think that anything that is just objective data is like liberal data. And I was like, you know what? That is so eloquently said. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Most politicians try to skew the numbers. They try to warp your interpretation of the numbers. Because you'll have a number that comes out, or a fact that arises, and then you have, okay, what's your spin on it? What's your opinion on it? What's your approach on it? With Donald Trump, they've gone from trying to spin what the numbers mean to just trying to throw out their own numbers in general. They fired the Bureau, the head person in charge of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're like, I don't like these numbers. We're just going to put in our own person. So this is what is so dangerous, is that you basically have these far right-wing cultists led by Donald Trump trying to claim that numbers are a liberal construct, that data is a liberal construct, that it's a liberal trap, that it's a liberal ploy. And see, this is what is so dangerous. We're not all on the same page with the objective facts of reality. This is what happens in a cult. They will brainwash you into believing certain things. And it's usually the people that say that they're not brainwashed that are the ones that are. Just saying. And it's really, really scary to see this kind of moment arise, because basically you're seeing just a rejection of the non-biased, a rejection of the objective reality, and instead a replacement of just the objectiveness and trying to put in place far right-wing spin. And so they're not even trying to bend reality to fit their narrative. They're just literally throwing out fake information And it's really, really scary to see this all happening in real time. It is. And you're like, okay, so why is Donald Trump inconsistent about this? Well, back in May, he actually was talking about how crime in DC was down 25%. And look, he would be right. Crime has been down in DC. So there was a clip here in May where he was talking about how crime had decreased. It's objectively true. When you look at the numbers and the data from DC's own police, crime has decreased. Violent crime has decreased 35%. You can see here, this is 2024 data, that's 2023 data. You can also see it going back here, where violent crime has decreased even further. Now, I also want to point out, with the pandemic, you did see a little bit of crime increase during the pandemic, where you had fear, anxiety, lockdowns. You know, you had a big gripping disease that was going through and killing a lot of people. So you had shortages of food, you had all of this. That was a scary time. It was a scary time. So naturally you had some crime rate rise a little bit. Well, it's been trending down in the recent years. Now, I'm not here to tell you who is to be given credit for that or not credit for that. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just showing you what the numbers are. If you want to say, well, it's because of X, Y, and Z or X, Y, and Z, I'm not here to tell you why the numbers are down. I am not an expert on that. I have not researched deep into that, so I'm not going to try to tell you or inform you about what we know on that subject. The numbers show that crime is down in DC. And that is because we've been coming out of a pandemic era. That all being said, you know, like, it's just important to recognize the numbers are just there. Like, what Trumpers try to do is they literally try to just deny. They try to say that, oh, these are liberal numbers. These are liberal numbers. Objective reality is a liberal ploy. It's a liberal trap. And this is what is so scary. You can't have a reasonable conversation with anyone. You can't have a reasonable conversation with anyone if you can't agree on the basic set of facts. You can't. Think of it, and this is why I don't like doing debates per se, because there are all these far right-wing people that can't objectively, they can't recognize the facts of reality. They can't just take at face value, these are what we know, these are the data points, the science, the statistics, the facts. They instead try to institute their own and then argue based on that. You cannot have a reasonable or logical or deep heart-to-heart conversation with someone when they are literally denying the existence of the baseline of reality. You can't even talk about your differences or your agreements based on your approach or anything with that. You can't. And so that's why I don't do those, because there are certain things that are up for debate and there are certain things that are not. The objective facts of data, science, statistics, you can interpret it. You can say, oh, well, this is what the numbers mean, or this is what I think the numbers show. That's fine. The numbers themselves are not up for debate. And so that's what is so dangerous. But going back to this, Donald Trump basically said back in May that violent crime was down by 25% in DC. Now, if you're someone that wants to attribute it to him or not, I'm not here to tell you about that. Also, on the same day that Donald Trump said that he was going to take over the DC police, you also had Kash Patel, his FBI director, basically saying, yeah, crime is down. So it's like they can't even get their narrative straight. So as you can see here, this was violent crimes in DC. You saw how it actually rose a little bit during COVID, because naturally when you have a big pandemic, you have shortages, you have panic, you have people that are, living in crisis. I mean, a global pandemic, it can be bad. So you had some violent crimes increase. Well, ever since then, they've been trending downward coming out of the pandemic era. Now, if you want to claim that part of it's due to Biden, part of it's due to Trump, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. This is just what the numbers show. What's interesting is that the Trump administration can't even get their narrative straight on why they're trying to take over the DC police. Yesterday, Donald Trump said, "Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals." Then on May 7th of this year, he literally said, "Crime is down in Washington, D.C., street crime, violent crime by 25%. And then Kash Patel yesterday also was saying, "The murder rates are..." No, I can't do it in terms. "The murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history." So even when they're trying to come up with a narrative, they can't even agree on what that narrative is. This should make you suspicious. Now, I have to go here in just a couple minutes because I need to get to work. But let me just put a hypothetical in your head. If this was Biden, if this was Kamala Harris, if this was Obama, would you buy it? Would you be like, let's say that Biden, back in this fictional scenario, was president for another 4 years. And he said back in May of this hypothetical scenario, 2025, saying that crime was down. And then all of a sudden he says that crime is up and that you need to go after it. Even though the numbers from DC's own police department are showing that crime is actually down. The right wing, and rightly so, would criticize them saying, "Hey, what are you doing? It sounds like you're trying to come up with an excuse to federalize the DC police." Because you also had your own FBI director basically saying that crime is down. So which one is it? You can't have both. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Well, the thing is, if it was Biden, I'd be like, yeah, something's fishy. This is inconsistent. This is wrong. But see, this is the difference between people who tend to be on the left or tend to be on the radical right. They don't need they don't need facts to back up their feelings. They just go with it. It's all about opportunism. They bend reality to whatever they want in order to justify their beliefs. Just pure, raw and simple. So it's really, really dangerous. And when looking at the comments on this, it's like Kash not understanding the assignment. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. And also the Epstein files distraction. All of this, again, you could also argue this is all distraction from the Epstein files, which makes a lot of sense. This by itself proves that the state of emergency being used as an excuse to commander law enforcement is completely false. The mayor of DC needs to fight back on these grounds immediately. And MAGA licks boots and believes everything that man says, regardless of how much flip-flopping goes on. It's amazing, really. Proving again that you cannot trust anything that comes out of Donald Trump's own mouth. Ha ha ha, hey, how about those Epstein files? Aren't they something? And so, like, these were pages of comments saying the same thing. All a distraction from Epstein. And one of his many 2-week promises that didn't happen. Fascist type propaganda, diversion of Epstein. They're really great at being inconsistent. And that's the thing. They can't even get their narrative straight. So it's like Donald Trump is trying to deploy the National Guard to take over DC police because he's saying that crime is up. When literally a couple months ago, he said back in May that crime was down. And the DC police is saying that crime is down. So like, so it's like he's basically just trying to come up with any excuse to just federalize, to take over DC police. If this was your political opponent, would you have the same, would you come to the same conclusion? If this was someone that, for Democrats, if this was someone in your own party, would you come to the same conclusion about this being obscene and stupid? Because I sure would. I'd be like, okay, so what are you doing? But this gets to a big key difference. A lot of Republicans don't have any empathy whatsoever. They don't have any critical thinking whatsoever. I should say MAGA Republicans. They don't. They don't care about empathy. They don't care about other people. They don't care about looking at it from a systematic point of view. They don't. They don't care. They don't even care about the flaws of their own party. It's only opportunism, because they view politics as a win some, lose some, zero sum game. And so, what's also interesting is, like, this person asked Grok, so the crime rate must be going up in Washington at Grok? And Grok says, actually, no. Crime rates in Washington, D.C. are declining in 2025. Official MPD data, that's the police data, shows that violent crime is down 25% year to date versus 2024. Property crime down 5%. Overall down 7%. This continues a drop from 2023's peak, per the CCJ and DOJ reports. Trump's push may reflect politics more than current trends. And so this person says, wow, so Trump is lying? And Grok goes, based on MPD's official 2025 year-to-date data, as of August 5th, violent crime is down 26%, property crime down 5%. Trump's claim of totally out-of-control crime misaligns with these trends, which continue to decline from 2023. It appears politically motivated rather than fact-based. So even like the AI bot that is programmed by Elon Musk, Trump's bestie, is even getting it right. And see, like, this is what is so humiliating. For these MAGA people, they have to literally, they have to stretch and bend their beliefs all the time in order to justify Donald Trump's crazy antics. Donald Trump contradicts himself all the time on a daily basis to justify doing whatever he wants. And MAGA has to be so flexible in order to justify it every single time. It must be exhausting having to do all those acrobatics, those mental gymnastics all the time. Instead, how about you have an ideology? How about you have principles? How about you stand upon morality and actually care about other people and think critically? It's like they've never been empowered to think critically. And so, and our news journalism doesn't always do the best at trying to do that. Instead, they will just spew out a lot of opinions. So, again, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm just showing the inconsistencies here. And I don't think that it's a good idea to I guess, favor a politician that is literally so inconsistent. Like, you're gonna pull a muscle with the amount of stretching you gotta do. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. I need to get to work. I love all of you. Shout out to my amazing moderators. Make sure to smash that follow button, smash that subscribe button if you enjoyed the live stream. I have to get going, but just remember that you are beautiful, that you are loved, that you are valid, that you are strong, and you are fierce. And also shout out to all of my amazing moderators in here. They do a really good job at making sure that people are not obnoxious in the chat. C-Bar, love you. Cherie, Kate, y'all are awesome. Ellie, I love you so much. You're awesome. Ilisa, Jenny, Cantisa, Joanna Tech, Akicha. I could not do any of this without you all. So anyway, love you all so much. Bye.